Well, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another episode here on the channel. My name is Tyler. It is my goal to teach you guys how to become better bass anglers, and as you guys know, I love to film. I film for my YouTube channel, I film for Major League Fishing. I just love to have a camera in my hands, and I think that I have built kind of the best bass fishing boat for filming on the planet. And I get a lot of questions about how I film my YouTube videos, from my GoPro accessories to my Sony, and how I get it all rigged up on my Skeeter FXR 21 gorgeous bass boat. So we're gonna jump into the boat real quick. Hopefully not gonna be too long of a video, 5 or 6 minutes tops. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how, as many of you have asked, I film my YouTube videos. So hopping inside of the office, we are going to get out real quick my 2 camera bags that I travel the country with and that I house all of my camera gear in. I'm going to kind of go over what is in those bags that I use on a I'm gonna go with more of just a YouTube basis. I could go into my Major League Fishing and kind of like freelance videography stuff, but I'm mostly gonna stick to what I use just on the Tyler's Reel Fishing YouTube side. So these right here are the 2 camera bags that I use as I travel the country and fish and film, and I usually keep both of them in the boat. If not both of them in the boat, I actually pack everything in the smaller one in case I'm going in a buddy's boat and I don't wanna bring all of my gear, as I don't often have to bring this lens everywhere that I go. So I'm gonna kind of go through the Major League Fishing stuff real quick, and then I'm gonna touch on the Tyler's Reel Fishing, kind of what has characterized my channel and the type of footage that you guys have seen. I'm gonna go over that equipment here at the end. So the first thing I'm gonna go through is, this is my secondary camera. I'm filming currently on my main body. It is a Sony a7 III, incredible camera body. I love it. It just films everything that I need it to film, and it is also a full frame sensor. But this here is the camera that I have filmed all of my B-roll, my vlogging on the past 4 years, maybe more than 4 here on the channel. It is the Sony a6500. Really an incredible camera body. I mean, it has 120 frames per second. It can film an S-Log, which is like a flatter color profile. And I just loved this camera for as long as I used it as my main one, but now I've moved on to the a7 III. It has way better battery life and a lot more features that this one does not have, but I still use this one for a select few things, like if I'm doing an interview and I have 2 different camera angles, of course I'm gonna have to use this camera. And then if I want one camera to be on video full-time for a shoot and one on photo full-time, I will put this one on photo. So on that one I have a Sigma 30mm 1.4 prime lens. I've got a whole bunch of batteries down here, and then I also have my DJI Mavic Air in here as well. I got a Sony 50mm macro lens. Love using this for all of the up-close shots you guys see of tackle, rods, and reels throughout my instructional videos. And then my biggest purchase I made lately was the Sony 70-200 2.8. This thing is a workhorse. It's amazing. The footage it gets is just buttery, crispy flake. It's juicy. So that paired with my 2 microphones that I use, both my Sennheiser, it's a little wireless lavalier microphone set. I use that to film all my pros on tour and Good Audio, and then I have another little tiny Tascam recorder. But the majority of the time when I'm filming my YouTube videos, I just have 2 cameras set up. And first one of those is going to be a GoPro Hero 7 Black Edition. That's going to be kind of farther toward the back of the boat. And then the front camera is either going to be, where'd it go? The GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition. I'm sure if you guys are fans of fishing YouTubers, you know the Hero 4 is the one that almost all of us use because it has the best battery life of all the GoPros to my knowledge, and it has the best access to the side port for external audio. So most of the time when I'm running, my GoPro in the back is either on this refuel, I think it's a 9-hour battery pack, that way I never have to change the battery. And the audio isn't great from this, but that's because I run the audio from this one instead. And the little audio kind of extension thing that I use, that you guys have asked so many questions about on Instagram and in the comment section, is, let me find it here real quick, is this little booger right here. That thing right there is what I plug into the side of my GoPro right there, and that is how I've gotten such good audio over the past few years here on the channel. And so these 2 parts here are pretty simple. This is the DJI Osmo microphone, I believe it's what it's called. It's just a little, headphone jack microphone that you can plug into your phone, you can plug into a camera, and I plug it into a Chinese little adapter. It's just a, an L adapter bracket from the, the 1/8 inch or whatever size this is, headphone jack to the micro USB. I plug it into the side of my camera here, make sure it's always connected. I have had some issues with connectivity before, and then I will always, just for the sake of having good audio, take a rubber band and I will wrap it just like that. And it definitely looks a little bit janky, but on the footage you guys can never tell, and it helps me get the best audio possible. I see a lot of guys, and I used to do this, running a microphone from their GoPro, kind of a longer cord, and they clip it to their chesty or clip it to their shirt or their jacket, and that would be a wired lavalier mic instead of a wireless. I just prefer to have the whole thing kind of contained close within the camera, which means if I'm on a flipping bite or a frogging bite, setting the hook really hard, I have to actually take this off and run one of my wireless lavalier mics, which adds in a whole nother step during editing of trying to link the audio with the video. But I have found that this just allows me to get the best audio possible in most situations. I do have plenty of GoPro batteries and extra SD cards that I keep up here in this little pocket. The GoPros are always running out of batteries, and again, you don't have to use a GoPro if you want to start filming YouTube videos. You can use any kind of action camera. There's plenty of cheap ones out there. There's the DJI, there's a Garmin Verb. I just found the GoPros work best for me. I recently acquired the GoPro Hero 8 Black Edition that has the little pieces automatically built in there. The battery life though isn't that great, but the pictures and video are incredible, so you guys will see me use the GoPro Hero 8 here in the future. And then I have, of course, a few more accessories. Got a suction cup. I've got a little phone tripod mount that I film all my TikToks on and all of my, Instagram lives. I have my phone on this. And so this is kind of like my daily driver. I use this thing all the time. I have all my GoPro stuff, all of my random accessories. And then this bag back here is where I keep all of my important things, the drone, the camera bodies, and of course the big, heavy, expensive lenses. Now, the question I get most often is how do I mount my big camera, as in my Sony, or my GoPro to the back of the boat? A lot of people think that I use a tripod. I have used a tripod at times. A good option for the back of the boat is the YOLO-Tech stick that plugs into the back light of your boat and allows you to charge and film at the same time. But if you want to put a big mirrorless camera body, as I have this camera, or bigger, the A7 III, you have to have a very sturdy system. And so my dad and I designed something that we're very proud of, and I'm about to show you guys right now. So this right here is the exact little bracket system that I use to mount my big camera or a GoPro onto the console of the boat. I'll have a few different angles here so you guys can get a better understanding of what you're looking at. But right here we have of course, the driving console of my bass boat. Then we have a small little aluminum piece that my dad and I custom sized to fit onto the side of the boat. We have screwed it in. It's always scary to screw things into a brand new bass boat, but every year I do it, and it helps me film some awesome videos for you guys. And I have I believe it's a Manfrotto. It might not be Manfrotto, I'm not sure. It is a screw-in clamp that I screw into the 1/4 inch size of this adapter here, and then it will clamp onto my Manfrotto monopod. And so I'm going to show you guys how that process works. So this here's what the console looks like before I put any of the camera pieces on here. It is just 2 stainless steel screws and 1/4 inch thread. Then I have the clamp here. I don't exactly know what brand this is. Maybe TUV, that's what the label says, but it is just a very, very strong, I'm assuming steel or hard aluminum bracket. And so it has, of course, the 1/4 inch thread right there. And so I'm going to put it right here and screw it in. We have put it at just the right angle that I don't need any sort of washers or spacers to get the right spacing in there. And so I will just screw this in just like that, so it's perfectly up and down. I will take my Manfrotto monopod, which can either be very short or very long, and I'm gonna get it so that neither of the 2 adjustment things here on the monopod are touching. I will stick it down in the bottom of the boat, I will stick it in, and then I will screw the clamp shut. And what's so cool about it is I can tighten it where this thing is sticking out, and then I can bring it out and push it back in. So when I walk from the driver's seat to the front deck and back and forth, I'm never really hitting this thing. It does stick out about 6 inches, but it allows a very stable platform to have a GoPro or your main camera on. And then here on the bottom, just for added stability, the base of the monopod, I have a piece of circular cut wood that fits the base of the monopod perfectly. That way it's not just being held stable there at the console, it's also being held stable at the bottom. So the whole thing can't shake. It is one solid unit. And so I love this setup not only because it is stable, but also because it is adjustable. So let's say that I want to film an instructional where I'm sitting on the front deck and I need the top of the monopod to be lower. So I will open up the monopod bracket. I will lower the monopod down to wherever I need it. Let's say I need it right about there. I can open up the bracket more, I can slide it in, and now I have a perfectly level surface to have my camera on. That way I can film the instructional. But let's say I want to get the camera as high as possible to film the widest boat deck and of course the most of my boat deck as possible. So I'm going to loosen up the bracket. I'm going to raise this monopod as much as I can. I can get it to about there on the lower bracket, and then I can raise this one all the way up to the top right here. Of course, the higher you get it, the less stable it's going to be, just because it has more metal to bounce around. But right there, I've got a very high platform, and I'll try to see if I can show you guys where that would sit at. But if my camera was sitting on that one right there at the top, it would be sitting right there. And look how wide of a shot that is. I mean, that's an awesome shot, especially without the use of a tripod. I love having the ability to use my big camera here in my videos and not just a GoPro. Occasionally, I will put a GoPro back here on the monopod, but I love having the option to use my big camera and having it back here. I mean, you can't put a Sony a7 III on a YOLO Tech stick. They just don't make them for that. And I don't know, I just don't feel like the angle back here, if I was to set up a tripod or something, is as cool of an angle. I think having it as close to the action as possible is definitely preferred. So I will have all of this stuff that I'm talking about linked in the description below for you guys to check out. I hope this made sense to you guys. I know it's a little bit of a complex system, but I get asked this question all the time. So I'm sure I'm gonna be sending this link to a lot of you guys that ask on Instagram and YouTube. I know there was no fish catch in this video, but I can promise you the next few days I'm gonna get on these Florida fish. Today was tough. I fished Lake Kissimmee today. I probably won't be back just because of the amount of pressure that Kissimmee is having right now with these 2 tournaments coming up. Probably gonna fish some smaller lakes in the South Florida area. I'm also gonna get my first peacock bass. It's gonna be a fun time. So make sure you guys are subscribed, and we'll see you next time on Tyler's Jewel Fishing.